So Becky and I know each other marginally. We're about to get to know each other really, really well. And one of the things that she did not know about me, but why I know that we're going to be very fast friends, is one of my, if not my top favorite crystal color, is the crystal luminous green. It's so hard to see. It's so hard to pick up on the camera, but it is by far and away the most beautiful, subtle green color.
It is very subtle and magical.
And we did not talk about colors. We didn't do any color talking before. We talked a little bit about like types of beads. You were going to send me some of the new Raven Hollow,
Raven's
Journey, Raven's Journey check, and some of the new crystals, which I'm very curious to hear more about.
Yeah.
But you chose my color palette, and I love it so much.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I have to admit that my coworker Jen, who's usually on our lives and answering people's questions, she picked out some of those crystal colors. So
all right, well, tell Jen that hopefully that I'll be able to meet her as well, because it's just that crystal luminous green is so beautiful. So actually, I'm going to turn the tides back over to you. Can you tell me a little bit about these new crystals?
Yes,
because these are Artbeads crystals, correct?
Yes, these are our line, our private label of prestige crystals. They are a European crystal, and they are so beautiful, and they come in colors that you probably know already. So they're there for you to design with, and we've made it really easy to shop. They have recognizable article numbers, so you'll find the 5328 bicones, 5000 faceted rounds. Again, the color, we have so many beautiful colors to choose from, like the crystal luminous green. I see some Pacific opal on your tray there, and some violet as well. And I think there's some amethyst mixed in there too. So really beautiful colors, really great. And they look gorgeous together with those Raven's Journey check glass. So so we're really excited about our new crystals. So that's why I had to send some of those your way as well.
So those beaders who know me know that I am a huge fan of crystals, and specifically crystals from the company formerly known as. And these definitely line up. I don't know kind of the that the actual whatever, where they're from or anything, or how they came to be into reality. But in terms of crystals, they're spot on and really beautiful.
Thank you.
So when Becky and I were first talking, we were thinking, okay, what can we do to talk about some fun Beadalon products that Artbeads carries, but also to be able to highlight some of these amazing new beads, specifically the crystals, and then the Raven's Journey. That's the only time I'm going to say it right this entire time. So I want to highlight these though. Here, let me take the mono out. Because these also, you could not have picked a more perfect bead for me, as these purple with the little teal stripe coming through them.
So pretty.
And it's just, and there's a little gold glimmer in here also.
Yeah, a little bit of a bronzy finish.
Tell me what makes these beads so special. I don't know a whole, we're wire, right? So I can talk about wire until the end of the day, but beads and kind of the story behind them always fascinates me. So what is the story behind these guys?
Yeah, so Raven's Journey check glass, the owner of Raven's Journey is a woman named Lenka, and she is so incredible. She kind of picks the colors and styles for these beads, and the colors are just incredible. So these are all check glass. They're made in the Czech Republic, and Lenka she goes down there quite often. I think she's there now, actually. And she picks out beautiful styles and beautiful colors. And she also designs jewelry too. She's made some really incredible pieces. So we have a couple YouTube videos with Lenka and Cynthia talking about what Lenka does, if you're curious, because it's really amazing. She makes some really incredible check glass beads in just gorgeous colors. And every time we get new colors, I'm just blown away, because I think there can't be more colors than this. And then she comes out with new ones, and the colors are just incredible.
And I love, not only do I love the colors, but I also love the cuts. Like
Yes.
it's so interesting. I don't know. I really, really like this. I like them all. But I really liked that one. And that's actually, this is what I wanted to kind of show and demonstrate. Jen had sent me different sizes of the crystals. And whenever I get little different sizes of crystals, my first kind of go-to project is these netted beads, which I know that many people in here have seen me demonstrate before. So hopefully it won't be too repetitive. But using different colors, using different styles, I think is always fun. And then one of the things that Becky and I were talking about highlighting and showcasing in our Facebook Live today are the instant pendants. So I just have some large hole pearls here on my instant pendant. And this is kind of whenever I need to showcase an instant pendant, I'm like, oh, you know, large hole beads are great and all, but a beaded bead?
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that idea. And I'd never even thought to make a beaded bead for an instant pendant. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That you just made my day, Becky, because as I was saying before, oh, hey, Danielle, as I was saying before, when I was going through to be like, what on earth can I show and showcase on the Artbeads Facebook Live? Like, Becky does everything and she does it so well. And when I finally, I scoured through, I looked back, you know, on the Instagram page and all of the socials. And I was like, wait a second, I've never seen her do netted stitch and I've never seen a beaded bead. And so jackpot.
Yay! Yeah, you picked perfectly. So pretty. And I love how you added those unique cut check glass beads in there. That's really cool.
Right. It just I love how it all came together. And then I just used some 15-0s and delicas, which I'm sure Artbeads has more than a lifetime supply of all shapes, sizes, and colors
to choose from.
One of the videos that you did that I really enjoyed was it was a top to bottom check glass beads. And so it went over all the 2-hole beads, all of the different shapes and sizes, and the super duos and the mini duos and the diamond like all of it. It was such a concise 55-minute
overview.
Exactly, like everything you needed to know. And I was like, oh, there's some shapes there that I haven't seen before. How is that even possible?
Yeah, we have so many shapes to choose from. It's a lot of fun.
So many shapes. And then I got a little overwhelmed and I was like, all right, I need to be actually making things, not going down a squirrel rabbit hole. And so here we are. Excuse me. So I was thinking, should we do a little demoing while we're chit-chatting about some of these other products? Because the one thing that we really wanted to talk about today is bead bumpers.
Yes.
And the names in the chat that I recognize know how much I love bead bumpers. And how versatile they are. And I know that Artbeads carries almost the whole line. Actually, you probably do carry the whole line of them, but when I was looking, you probably have a couple that are out of stock. Now that I've learned that about you. So we're going to talk a little bit about the bead bumpers while we do the netted bead, which actually works up. I think we might be able to do the whole thing in the next 40 minutes. So one of the colors that I saw that Artbeads has on their website is the gray Wildfire. And I felt really bad because I don't use the gray that much. There's literally no reason that I don't. It's just I get in the habit of using the
you pick your favorite. Yeah.
Well, right. And so I use the green, and now I've kind of transitioned a little bit to using the new tan color, but I love this gray. And so luckily I had some. And so I was able to use it. Just going to my needle tree over here. I should show everybody what my needle tree looks like. It's a little bit ridiculous. Let's see. Is this a big eye needle? It is a big eye needle. All right. I've tried. Becky, what are your go-to needles for seed bead work? What do you like to use?
I like the tulip size 12 beading needle. That's usually the one I use, but the Beadsmith also makes some pretty good beading needles as well. But Big Eye needles are great for threading. Makes threading way easy.
I have been teaching a lot of beginning and a lot of seed bead work recently. And my little trick of flattening down the end of the Wildfire works really well for getting the Wildfire into like that size 12 or even a size 10 or smaller 10 or 12 beading needle. But what I've realized, and especially now that my vision is starting to go, these Big Eye beading needles are really, really good for helping out with the struggles of needle beading, especially or needle threading. As long like, and you might be victim of this also, but I take for granted, like I've been doing this for years, like I just thread the needle, but if you don't do it all the time, it's frustrating. So I've been encouraging people to use the Big Eye beading needles who might otherwise not be enthusiastic about any seed bead work.
That's a really good tip, because even when you're doing it all the time, I seed bead all the time, and sometimes I still struggle with getting that thread on the needle.
So what I have done is I've picked up an alternating pattern of one Delica and one 4mm crystal. I'm just using different colors because I don't want to take this one apart because it's so pretty and it makes me so happy. And I love the crystal luminous green. And actually, just between you and me, I didn't use the crystal luminous green to begin with because I kind of wanted to earmark it for another project because I love it so much. But we're going to use it for now. Okay, so alternating pattern, one delicate bead, one 4mm crystal. And you can do this with other kinds of beads too. It doesn't necessarily have to be bicones. I've done this with rounds. I've done it with rondelles. And I've even started this with 3mm beads as well. So very versatile. And it just creates all kinds of different patterns, different looks, right? Different sizes. All right. So because Danielle Wicks is watching, I'm not going to tie this in a knot. Sometimes I do. And actually at the very end, I generally will retrace my whole thread path from my bead all the way down and tie this part in a little knot right there. But Danielle and I have a running joke about knot tying. And she is an avid non-knot tire, and I am a knot tire. Where do you stand on that, Becky?
I usually don't do knots, but sometimes it depends on the project. Like if I'm like brick stitching around a bead, that's when I like tend to knot. I think it just makes it a little more secure on there. But if I'm bead weaving, I usually don't knot.
I see.
I'm a not
knotter. Oh, you know what? I want to use a contrasting color here. It's like, why are these so similar? This is what I wanted to use for my Delica. Okay. And even though I'm switching from that amethyst AB color that I used before, I still think that the seed bead colors will work really, really nicely with this crystal luminous green. Oh, it's just so pretty. Okay. So I've gone through and I've gone all the way around and I haven't tied a knot, although I will later. And I'm going to pick up 3 size 15s, 1 Delica, and 3 size 15s. And one of the things that I found is that 15s are really the right bead for this job. You can do it with size 11s in lieu of the 15s, but I just don't think that it looks as nice because it really overpowers the stone. I've done them before like that, and it's honestly it's beader's preference. I just think that the 15s look nicer. But that's just where I stand.
And the Delicas are 11-knot, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Are there 15-0 Delicas? Is that a thing?
I believe there are. There's 8-knot and 15-knot Delicas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. You know everything. All right, so here I have my ring and I'm trying to make sure everything is in focus. I'm coming out of one of those delicas, one of those size 11 delicas. I'm skipping my crystal and I'm going to put my needle back through the next delica in line.
Okay.
The other thing that and I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm just going to kind of chit chat my way through this round. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pick up one size 11 delica. I always thought delica was just like a generic, like this is a delica, but now you're telling me that there are
Yeah, and I keep my 11-aught delicas and treasures like in a separate area from my other seed beads because I use those a lot. And one time I accidentally mixed in 15-aught delicas in there, and I'm like, why are these aren't working right? And I was like, oh, these are the 15-aught ones.
I'll have to look for those. I feel like that's one of that might not be an easy find.
Yeah.
So much to learn. But okay, so I'm doing a 3 size 15 and then on either side of a delica, but all you need to do, and sometimes I will have to take my rounds out if I don't like the spacing and the way that the counts work. You oftentimes kind of have to play around with the counts because what you're doing is you're increasing the size of the beads, right? So here I have 4s, here I have 2 rows of 6s, here I have these, what are these, 10 millimeters? And then another row of 6s. Actually, I'm sorry, I have 2 rows of 4 and 1 row of 6s. And so what you need to do is for this netting, you need to do your counts so that it fits over the beads nicely.
So you adjust kind of as you go.
Yeah, so you don't want it to be too loose and you don't want it to be too tight. Like here, I have a little bit of thread showing. I don't know if you can see that. So I might actually, in the next analysis, I might bump this up 1 bead on either side.
Okay.
Just to, we'll play around with it and we'll see. So oftentimes, my first bead count is not my favorite bead count with these beads. But then when I find it, I'm like, all right, well, now this is perfect. Now I have to make 4. All right, so here we're going to get to the step up. And actually, it looks like I went the opposite way when I started this. So we just have to do a little bit of finagling to get the step up done the right way. But we can make it work. So I'm going to go through that last delica, just like I would in the round. Jan, why aren't you making jewelry anymore?
I think she's watching us while she's stuck in
she's in the hospital. Oh my goodness. I hope that you're okay.
Yeah. Good thoughts.
We wish you well, for sure. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do my step up, which is through those first 3 15s and through that first delica that I added in that row. So the step up is always what trips me up. I remember it like it was yesterday, but it was like 16 or 17 years ago. There was a pattern in, it was either Beadwork or Bead and Button because I subscribed to them both at the time. And it was a herringbone flower. And this was like before I knew anything about anything in terms of beading. And I was trying to make this herringbone flower and I could not get the step up, like to save my life. And so now whenever I teach the step up, I always explain it in like 4,000 different ways because I know how challenging it can be. But the best part of these netted beads is on these big bead rows, I call them, there's no step up. So you don't even have to worry about it. So my thread is coming out of the delica. I'm going to skip all these beads here. I picked up a 4 millimeter and I'm going to go back through the next delica on the little triangle, the little peak.
So the delicas are kind of like the connection points for these.
Exactly. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So 1 there, 1 here. And this round always gives me so much satisfaction because A, I'm only adding 4 beads, and B, there's no step up.
Yeah.
What is your favorite stitch, Becky? What is your favorite one to do?
Brick stitch is probably my favorite. I've done a lot of brick stitch, but I've been doing a lot of peyote stitch this year. And then non-beading, I love cross stitch.
So I saw that you, there was something that you had mentioned that you kept poking yourself with a needle. I too love cross stitch. I haven't done it in years, but it's actually what kind of transitioned me back to beading after, after like I beaded, whatever in camp and in school and everything growing up. But a friend of mine was really into cross stitch, and so I went like deep down that rabbit hole, and I love it. It's so much.
I just got into it when the pandemic started, so I was like, oh well, this is a good time to like learn a new technique. So that's when I got into it. And someone had said like, oh, if you like brick stitch, then you can totally cross stitch. So I went for it.
That's awesome. Okay, so my second round of seed beads is the same count as the first, and I'm loving these colors with that green as well. Beautiful. So 3 15s, 1 delica, 3 15s, and then I'm coming out of the delica and going back through the next delica. So you're always going, like you mentioned, Becky, the delicas are your connection points.
Yes.
And this could be a size 11 seed bead also. It doesn't have to be a delica. I just think it looks cool with the more square shape. So we're going to do this all the way around and go back to the beginning. All right. So I told you my favorite crystal color is luminous green. What is your favorite crystal color?
Oh, that's a good question. I really love the opal colors, like that Pacific opal that you have. I really love yellow opal. That's a really fun one because it's like bright and juicy. That's a really fun one. The one I probably use in designs the most, I would say I do like the amethyst, especially if it has like a special coating, like an AB finish or a shimmer. Especially the opal shimmers, those are really fun. So I think I'm gonna say the opal color.
Nice. All right. So really quickly, Cindy, this pattern is actually on the Beadalon website. I will go back and link it in this afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely available on the Beadalon website. Okay. So now I'm ready for my step up again. I'm on my last one. So I'm going to go through the delica, through, I like to try to do this in one pass, but if I can't, it's okay too. Through the 3 15s, and then I also need to go back through that top delica again.
Okay.
And for anyone who is unfamiliar with what the step up even means, it's basically just getting your needle repositioned for the next round. Okay, so first couple rounds are all the same, but now I am starting to increase my bead size. So I think these are actually 8 millimeters. So I probably should have bumped this up 1 bead, but we're gonna deal with that in the next round. I hope. Okay. So once again, it really doesn't matter what the sizes are, as long as they're increasing. Oh, that's gonna be perfect. Oh, it's so pretty.
Beautiful.
I love getting distracted by how pretty the thing is that I'm making.
Me too. Happens all the time. Just gotta pause and admire.
Yes. But it's true. I love this luminous green. Okay, so people are putting in what their favorite crystal colors are, but I would love to see more people.
Tell us your favorite crystal colors.
Yeah. And it could be like as random or as one-off. It could be a vintage color. Some of those I love as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here I've added, and see how fast those big bead rounds go. So because I have 3 here, I'm probably going to start with trying 5 to see if 5 is going to be a good fit here. I don't know. Let's see. 2, 4, 6 is where I started with the big ones. I think I'm going to try a 6 again. I think 6 is actually probably going to be well. And this is how I do it. This is how I kind of zhuzh it around and figure it out. Like maybe 5. I think maybe 6 would probably be a little bit better, but there's only one way to find out, and that is by doing. So we are just going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thankfully, even though my eyes are going so that threading the needle is not the greatest of all possible things right now, luckily, because of the poke and pick up technique, I can still get these 15s onto my needle. Sometimes they require a little bit more patience than in the past, but generally I can still make it happen.
Those 15s are little.
I cannot wait to go back through and see what everybody's favorite colors
there's some
and
good
color
ones.
combinations are. I do like that blue zircon. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Especially in an AB. I think I'm with you, Becky, too. Like those AB finishes those are my favorite. And a 2AB, oh, now we're talking.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's just the next level.
Yup. 2, 3, 4, 5. The other one that I really like, let me see if I can remember the name while I'm going around. It was a release a couple of years ago. It was like a green, like almost like a brownish greenish.
Was it iridescent green or scarabaeus green?
It wasn't a scarabaeus green. I think that maybe the iridescent was that. Did that come out with like an orange as its partner?
So there was like a crystal iridescent green crystal, and then they also did the crystal iridescent green pearl.
Yep.
And they looked really beautiful like together. But I think the crystal does have like a brownish green tinge to it. That's another great one.
Yeah, that's another one that's one of my absolute favorites. I remember it came out with that is it sunflower orange? Sometimes I'm really good at remembering the colors and sometimes not so much.
Yes, and those colors looked so beautiful together.
Yeah. And you would never have thought that it would.
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're really good at counting rounds, right?
Yes. Julie says she's obsessed with Podparaja. That's a good color too.
It's a good color, but I literally never knew how it was pronounced until you just said it. Can you say that again for me, please?
Podparaja. I don't know if that's correct, but that's how I say it. My mom has like this huge Podparaja ring, and that's the only reason I had ever heard of it before.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And as you can see, I can usually get it through for my step up. I can usually get it through the 15s, but sometimes that last delica is a little pesky. So we just come through and do it again. I love that she even spelled it right.
Yeah. Good job, Julie.
Very impressed.
I'm correct. Great.
That's one that I'm like, artbeads.com, Google coffee cakes. All right. So originally, my original thought was I wanted to come back to these guys and use those in the middle, but I'm kind of feeling this one.
Okay. So I think that'll be really pretty.
What happens when we go here? Maybe I'll do one of one and one of the other, and then we can see which one we like best.
Mm-hmm.
All right, pesky delica, you are giving me some trouble. There we go. Just gotta pop them up. Sometimes my
that's really
pretty. We've got that one option. We might have to do actually
alternate.
Yeah. This is gonna be a big. I don't know. In fact, no, I do know. In the entirety of me making these, I've never alternated my beads. I've only done uniform, so I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. But we're gonna go with it. You know, we're gonna see how my soul feels. It's kind of perfect because it brings in. Oh, I don't know. The purple is kind of perfect because it brings in all of these colors.
Yeah.
A little more contrasty. Okay, so here on this side, we have a little bit more contrasty. And then here we have a little bit more blending.
They're both really good.
I don't know. What do you think, Becky? I'm going to let you make the call.
Do you want to alternate, or do you want to just pick one?
I think I need to just pick one. I don't think I can alternate.
I think I like the check glass.
Yeah.
What do you guys think in the comments? Tell us.
Okay. do as I say, not as I do. I'm backing my needle back through the beads.
Yes.
Never a good idea, because even though Wildfire or any other material that you might use says that it can't be pierced, sometimes you never know. You don't want to tempt that fate to get things all. So again, do as I say, not as I do. I'm doing it very carefully.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of people are saying they like the check glass. That's
okay.
Good.
All right. All right. That's good, because we've already decided that that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I find I do that when I'm like, I don't want to rethread my needle.
Well, and with the big eye one, it's actually not that big of a deal, but
yeah.
Is it ironically? I don't know. It's what I've noticed is, because I get the powder dip gel nails, it's actually harder for me to open up the big eye needles than it is just to string it normally.
Yeah.
Especially when they get longer, then it's really, really hard. But Mama likes pretty nails, so we gotta do what we gotta do. So you could theoretically, I just wanted to point out, I'm making a beaded bead, but one of the most fun things about this stitch that I love, and I think I have actually over here a sample just to show that you can just keep on going. So,
oh wow,
and this is that color that you were just talking about. That's what made me think of the sample. And this is the green color too, now that I'm thinking about it.
That's beautiful.
So thank you. So you can just, with this stitch, do whatever you want. So this is crystals here, 4mm. These are 6mm rounds, 6mm pearls, 8mm pearls, 8mm, 10mm, 8mm, 8mm pearls, and then back down again. And it's only this big, and it's only this way of the pattern, because this is the amount of beads that I had.
That's so gorgeous.
Out of everything. Which is why it's never been made into anything else either. But it's a good example of the netting.
Yeah. Could you just put it on silk ribbon and like necklace?
Oh yeah. I mean, I could do a million different things with it.
Yeah.
I think it had been on memory wire, which is actually a really good form for stuff like this. And a really good segue into talking about the bead bumpers that we wanted to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to just do this one row because everything else is just decreasing. So I did 2, 4, 6 here. So I'm going to hope that the 6 works again on the other side. Although I did notice that I needed just a little bit more space. So I'm actually going to go with 7. I had tried to keep it symmetrical, which is why I did the 6, but for whatever reason, adding that one more bead on the layer, I guess before you do the decrease, really makes a difference. I'm sure there's some sort of math involved or geometry. I just know that it just, for whatever reason, just makes the difference. So while we are doing this, I'm going to ask you, Becky, what do you like to use the bead bumpers for?
They're really great little spacers. I want to use them in the project that I'll do on the Beadalon page. It's just little pops of color with the other beads that I have picked out here. And I actually wanted to take this opportunity to use them more because I want to use them more. They're so handy to have around. So I'm really excited to use them as like little pops of color in my design. And there's quite a bit in a pack, so you've got lots to play with. So really fun.
Okay, so here, this is actually a really good error that I did. I forgot to add my second group here. I just put on the size 15s without the Delica. So once again, do as I say, not as I do. I'm gonna come back through here. So I think of bead bumpers actually more like tools than I do as beads. Kind of like,
see, this is why I wanted to talk to you about that.
Kind of like how I feel about needles being a tool as well. They serve a decorative purpose, but they
Mhm.
actually, for me, more so serve a functional purpose.
Ooh, that's always great.
Yes.
You can
And
get
so
beauty
that's going to
and
be
function.
our teaser for when we go over to the Beadalon
Okay.
page. Now, see, I can see here. Oh, I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. So it's just kind of my test, just to see if this part didn't come up over this bead nicely, I would probably have to go back through and add a size 15 on either side.
Okay.
But I think we're going to be in good shape.
Yay.
And then I'm going to finish out this round, and then we'll be more than halfway done. But I will go through, or go back, I should say, to 4, 6, 7, and post those instructions for your customers,
Yeah.
because just with the caveat that the bead counts are a little bit different because I used different beads when I did those
Okay.
instructions. But again, I mean, you can see it, you just kind of have to, like, sometimes you just want to guess and then try it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have learned, more so recently than in the past, is that it's okay to take your beadwork out. What are your thoughts on that, Becky? Are you a good
Oh, yeah.
ripper outer?
Yeah. You have to sometimes, especially if you're like just first making something, and you don't quite know where you're going yet. I do it a lot.
That's good. It's hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard to take your beadwork apart, especially if it's something intricate, especially if it's something that, like, you spend a lot of time on.
Yeah. Especially like I've been doing these peyote stitch portraits of the 6 wives of King Henry VIII, and they have a lot of colors in them, and I'm just like, I'm creating them for my own patterns, and so like I've had to take out multiple rows of beads because I messed up in one spot.
That is the most interesting project idea. I want to hear more about that. That is so cool.
I really like the history of the Tudors and King Henry VIII, and this musical just came out not too long ago called Six the Musical, where his wives like form a girl band talking about their experience with him. And
That's
so
hysterical. I didn't realize that was the kind of the plot of that.
Yeah, it's really funny and the music's really good. And I've always loved, like, there's a lot of cross stitch patterns out there of the 6 wives of King Henry VIII. So I was like, I want to make a peyote stitch pattern. So I kind of just designed my own patterns based on like their historical portraits. And so I've been working on those. I've got 3 of them done. And so I have 3 more wives to go.
Wow. That's ridiculously impressive. I love that story. So just, I'm pulling in the smaller beads, and right when I'm done this round, we'll be able to see kind of where this is going.
Cool.
For the decreases.
Susie's asking, what are bead bumpers?
You want to handle that one, or you want me?
Yeah, so they're little bead spacers, and they can go between bigger beads, and they can be used as a tool, as Meredith said. They kind of don't they like stay in place where you put them?
So yeah, so let me just show really, really quickly, and then we'll move on to bead bumpers.
Yeah.
So I brought those 4 6mm. Are these 6s or 8s? I can't tell. I'm like, everything is off. 6s. They're 6s. Yeah. I have a little measuring device down here.
Perfect.
So these 6s are now what is going to pull that second side together. Okay. So we've expanded, and now we're going to decrease our numbers to match the first bit that we did, and then we just finish it off. And what I had said in the beginning is, once I'm done, I'll weave back through and then tie. Danielle, cover your ears. I'll tie a little knot right here, and then I'll use my cord cutter, which is on a bead mat behind me because I was using it for a different project, but I would use my cord cutter just to trim and seal those ends. But the cool thing is that once you're done with with it, you can use the instant pendants
so cool.
to string them up. And so you can obviously switch them out. You can adorn them with any of the large hole beads of your choosing, or you can make even more, or you can even actually make this longer, which I sometimes do too. I'll make it like, 2 more rows here, 2 more rows here, and then it's the perfect size.
So cool.
But this actually would be a really good transition because about bead bumpers. Okay, so you can see how small they are, right? And they are little, and they're silicone, which means they're smushy and squishy, and a little squishy and then stretchy again. And originally they were conceived of to mimic the look of knotting in between pearls.
Yes.
So when I take my camera back up, you can see the necklace that I'm wearing now actually has bead bumpers in between the pearls that I'm wearing. And so not everybody likes pearl knotting, and that's okay. And not everybody wants to use a seed bead in between those pearls because it doesn't look quite right. I don't know if there's any other way of saying it. It just doesn't look quite right to my eye, to use seed beads in place of the bead bumpers. So we have them there are 3 different sizes. There's a 1.5 millimeter, a 2 millimeter, and then a square.
Yeah, the square is really interesting.
The square is super fun. So I'm going to keep on going here because I think that we actually might even have time to finish this. I don't know, Becky, what do you think?
That's so cool. I never would have thought just by looking at it that you could finish it so quickly. So that is so cool. So you get your kind of seed beady fix, and you can make a bunch of those, like you said, and with the instant pendants, make a bunch in different colors and then switch them out. That'd be so fun.
Yep. I went through a big beaded bead phase. I like putting them on, you had mentioned earlier, the ribbon. Or even on like some really pretty leather cord. I have a couple pieces that I used bead caps. Right? Bead caps? Yeah, bead caps on the end. I always get like cones and caps mixed up. And I have like a gazillion bead caps. And I don't know. I never feel like they look quite the way I want them to look, just straight up. But using them on the ends of these looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I bet that's so pretty.
And sometimes they even have holes that are big enough that you could slide them over the instant pendants. That's one of the challenges. The instant pendants are pretty thick. I think it's at least 1, if not 1.2 millimeters. So you really have to be cognizant of how, but like any, large hole bead that claims to be like a large hole bead is going to work.
Yeah. For the project on the Beadalon Facebook page, after we're done here, I picked out some fun large hole beads to try on there.
Yeah, and some pendants.
Yeah, some really pretty ones.
Really excited. Yeah, and so now I'm ready to go down to 4 millimeters. And the cool thing also is that it doesn't take that many beads. So oftentimes we have leftover from other projects, like a couple beads here, a couple beads there, all in different sizes. As long as you have really theoretically 8, if you want it to be even top and bottom, you're in good shape. Which is why the beads that you sent to me were like totally lent themselves to doing a netted bead for sure. Oh, so happy. All right. And okay, so I have 2 more rounds to do. So I think, yeah, we can do this. 5 minutes, no problem.
No pressure.
No pressure, no problem. Luckily, I am a trained professional.
Yes.
But yeah, I've done this project several different times, and I've taught it to like beginners, like people who had never done any seed beading before.
Yeah.
And that's like
I think it's a great beginner project.
Yeah. And that's my kind of gauge of whether or not it's a good beginner project, right? Because I am teaching a peyote bezel, like a cabochon bezel, to some people who have never done any seed bead work before. That might not be my smartest of all possible projects, but I think I have faith. I have faith in me. I have faith in beaders.
Yes, you can do it, and so can they.
That's the thing about all this too. And Becky, why you're such a great teacher is that as long as you can break it down into manageable bite-sized pieces and give people the confidence to think that they can do it. Like, of course they can do it. It's just a question of giving them the confidence to make them believe in themselves.
Yes.
I feel like is definitely most of the battle. So as long as you approach it with, I totally do this. Ooh, I like Cindy's idea. Put hers on a peyote rope.
I know, that would be so pretty.
That
so
is a lot.
Goodness.
A lot of peyote stitch.
Yeah.
A whole rope of something. I'm like, can I just put this on a piece of leather?
Those are good projects for like binging a TV show or something.
Yeah, totally. All right, this is my last round, and somehow, oh, you know why? Like somehow I don't have enough of these 4 millimeters, but it's because I put them over here. So I'm just going to take one from this project and we'll figure it out when we approach that, because this is my last round.
Woohoo!
And right, with talking and chit chat and everything, I'm totally done.
That's really awesome.
So I'm just going to go through everything one more time to reinforce. And then give myself a little bit more slack here in my needle. And like I said, now all I'm going to do is go back through everything so that my needle comes back and meets the first thread where I started. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot.
Gotcha. Okay. And it looks so magical.
I love these colors together. Okay, here's a question for you, Becky, as we're getting to know each other.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on like color theory and the color wheel and choosing colors? Where do you stand with that?
I studied the color wheel a little bit, and I do definitely like agree with some of those principles, but I find that like when I'm choosing colors for jewelry, it's all about like the mood I'm in and what I'm doing in my life, like, and what season it is. Like, I've got some pretty fallish colors on my bead tray today because it's rainy and the leaves are all brown and orange and golden. So like I'm totally influenced by like what's going on in my life, and then like trends that are happening with fashion and whatnot. So I think it's totally subjective to what you like, what you're feeling.
I could not agree with you more. That's like 100% how I think of it. It's like, and oftentimes what I'll do is I'll start with like, I love this color. What is going, like, what's going to be happy with it? What is going to, like, what looks right?
Yeah.
And all of like the theory and the complementary and the balance and all of those things makes great sense to talk about. But in the final analysis, I just go with what looks like, what looks happy to me.
What's your vibe with?
A square knot right over left, left over right. And I'm going to turn around, hopefully not bother too much, and grab my thread burner. Am I going to grab my thread burner? Where is my thread burner? I'm so confused. Oh, here it is, right in front of my face. These are great because not only do they seal the, Kim, the beads have to speak to you. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I just read that. She's right.
Yep. Oops.
Speak to me, beads.
Make sure that you don't singe the crystal. That will rub off. I got a little black mark on the crystal. So that's a good learning experience. Don't singe the crystal. Because I would imagine that the luminous green has a coating on it, right? So you don't want to burn that coating. So yay, we did it.
Gorgeous.
We made it.
Beautiful.
This one has I was going to say that one has a bead stuck on it. But that ended up turning out so nicely.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
beautiful. And so fast for bead weaving. That is beautiful.
Yay. All right, so I'm gonna turn my camera around. Give me 1 second, friends.
Yeah, that turned out just gorgeous. Yay!
Okay, there
And there's that necklace that
See,
you
my
talked
hair is
about.
all flirty. How long should a thread burner last before it needs to be replaced? I actually want to just mention, don't press that button down and hold it. Because you'll burn your thread burner out in no time at all.
Okay, that's
Hold it down, heat it up, back your finger off, and then do it. I taught a class where we use thread burners, and people burn the batteries out in like 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
And it doesn't matter what brand it is. It doesn't matter if it's the Beadalon Wildfire one. It doesn't matter if it's another brand. If you hold that red button down, the batteries will burn out in no time at all.
Okay.
But if you hold it down, let it heat up, do your thing, just kind of gently press on it, you should get some good time out of it. But again, you can burn the batteries out in like 5-10 minutes. No problem. Yep.
Okay. Good question. Well, thank you, Meredith, for showing us that.